Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a traditional flan. I'm going to walk you through the ingredients and all the steps, so stick around so I can show you how. For today's flan, you're going to need 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. This is the kind that I like to get. Along with 4 eggs. Vanilla extract. This is the kind that I like, the Mexican vanilla blend. And I'll be using whole milk. You can also substitute for evaporated milk. 1 cup of sugar, and this is going to be for that caramel sauce that you put on the bottom of your flan. We're going to start by adding our 1 cup of sugar to our hot pan. We're going to melt this down to create a caramel sauce that we're going to put into the baking dish first. We need it to be completely cool before we add the flan, so make this step your first step. The sugar is going to take a couple minutes to melt down, but once it melts down, it burns extremely fast. So it's important to stir it frequently. I tried to record as much of this process as possible to help you guys out. One thing that is really important to do when you're melting down your sugar is make sure that you're using a non-stick pan. So when you go to add it to your baking dish, it glides off very easy. It's also important to know that this sugar gets extremely hot. Once it's melted, it's not one of those things that you can taste test. Do not touch your melted sugar. Be very careful. Now, as it melts, it's going to start to form these clumps. It almost looks like rocks. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just beginning to melt. Once these last pieces melt down, I'm going to immediately kill the heat because it only takes a couple extra seconds for this to bubble over and burn. Now we're just going to add our hot sugar to the bottom of our baking dish, trying to coat it as evenly as possible. You can pick up your baking dish and swirl it around to coat it evenly. Now we're just going to set it to the side and let it cool completely. In the meantime, while that cools, you can start on your flan. Don't forget to preheat your oven at 350 at this point as well. We're going to add in our 2 cans of lechera, but be sure not to discard those cans as you're going to use them as a measuring cup for your whole milk. Now this is where we're going to be using these as measuring cups. I'm going to add my milk into my 2 cans of lechera. I want to make sure that I don't waste any of that sweetened condensed milk that stays in the can. It's pretty thick, so some of it stays behind, and we like all that extra flavor. So I'm just going to grab a spoon, and then I'm just going to scrape the bottom and the sides of these cans to make sure that I get all the lechera incorporated into the milk. And I keep saying lechera, I'm so used to it. It's sweetened condensed milk. If you guys find a different brand, I just mean sweetened condensed milk. So we're just going to swirl this around, make sure that we're getting it all out of the sides and the bottom. A second option to the whole milk is going to be using 2 cans of evaporated milk. But for the sake of teaching you the traditional way I grew up with, we're going to be using the whole milk. Now we're just going to go in and add our 2 cans of whole milk into our sweetened condensed milk mixture. And I got a little piece of the label in here, so let me just get a spoon and take this out really quick. And then we can go ahead and add in our second can. Now we're going to be adding in our 4 eggs. Be careful not to get any shells into your egg mixture. Now we're just going to go in with 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract, and we're going to mix. And of course, you can always use a hand mixer or a blender to make this process a lot easier. Now I'm just going to be putting my flan mixture into the baking dish, filling it all the way to the top. Because flan does not inflate or puff up, I don't have to worry about it overspilling in the oven while it's cooking. This helps me flip it over once it's cold as well. Okay, so this portion, I like to do it while it's already in the oven on the rack. That way I don't have to worry about spilling anything. I just put my flan into a larger dish. I always keep this disposable around, and I fill it up with hot water. I'm using about 6 to 8 cups. If your water is boiling, even better. It's not going to work if you put in cold water. Now, you can't really tell exactly where it lands, but it's about halfway up to my flan dish. Now we're just going to cover it loosely with some foil. Throw that in at 350 for about an hour and a half. After an hour and a half, it'll still have some jiggle just like this, but it'll be completely solid to the touch. Let this cool for about 30 minutes before you flip it over. And here you have it, a nice, beautiful, traditional flan. I hope you guys all enjoy this really easy recipe. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and give it that thumbs up.